everyone. Welcome to our Ink Her series. And this is a series where we are interviewing 49 amazing women from different disciplines. And why 49? Because 49.6% of the women of the world are women. So we said, let's pick 49. And the goal is to interview women from India, of Indian origin, either in India or across the globe. And today we have Asha Jadeja with us. And as usual, I'm not going to give you a long intro. I will dive into the conversation. And as we talk, you'll get to know Asha and her journey from then till now. So, with that, welcome, Asha. Welcome to the show. And
Thank you for having me.
joining us from Palo Alto, California. And I mean, you never know where Asha is at any given point of time. It could be in Ahmedabad, it could be in Bombay, it could be in the Bay Area. So, privilege of the empty nesters that we are, that at a moment's notice we can go someplace. So, anyway, so just a little bit of a background, Asha. We both met almost 25 years ago now at a venture capital gathering in Stanford Faculty Club, room full of VCs where there were like a handful of women, and we kind of looked at each other and we made a beeline, and we've been friends ever since. So I wanted to, I mean, I left the VC world soon after that, but you kept at it. So you have over 200 investments in companies, etc. So, tell me a little bit about way back when. Now we are going back to the pre-internet craze kind of a thing. I especially want you to talk about you and Rajiv had .edu ventures. So tell me a little bit about the initial phases where you saw some connection between academia and startups. So tell me a little bit about the beginning of your journey. Then we'll go further back and then we'll come further forward.
Sure, sure. So the beginning of the venture capital journey,
Mhm.
began actually with the birth of the internet, right? And it just so happened that I was at Stanford as a
Mhm.
grad student doing my PhD, and Rajiv was on the faculty in computer science and was
Mhm.
actually in the critical path of all this research that was happening around the internet, around search, around networking, around data storage. And so he was right in the thick of it. And I was actually, as a spouse, right there. So
Mhm.
the venture capital journey began because of being there when the internet was born, being at
Mhm.
Stanford when the internet was born.
Mhm.
And one particular episode that a lot of people don't know about is how exactly did .edu happen?
Yeah.
So Rajiv and I were actually in at the Red Herring Conference in Tahoe, in Lake Tahoe.
Mhm. Mhm.
We
Mhm.
were sitting in, right after some talk got over, Rajiv and I were sitting in a lounge, and this
Mhm.
wonderful, plump man walks up to us and he sits down with us and starts chatting with us, and that
Mhm.
was actually Ron Conway, and
Ah, okay.
yeah, and he
And
said,
Ron
"Oh,
Conway, for those who don't know, is a legendary angel investor in the Bay Area. Like he has touched just about any company we heard of today. His hand has been there in it. Yeah.
correct,
Yeah.
correct." And he actually told us that he had heard of Rajiv. He didn't know me, but he told Rajiv, he said, "I've heard of you. I've heard of your association with this search engine called Google."
Mhm.
And he said, do you have other such companies in your pocket that you are working on secretly that I should know about, because I'm an angel investor. This is what I've been
Mhm.
doing, and and stuff like that. And Rajiv said, "Well, I'm working on a whole bunch of projects, and I would love to keep you posted." We had a
Mhm.
long conversation, and actually, at the end of it, Ron Conway
Mhm.
said, "Why don't you guys set up a venture fund?" And we said,
Mhm.
"We have never done it before, and we don't even know what to call it." And he said, "I have a name for you." And he said, let's call it .edu Ventures."
Wow, it's such a great name, actually.
It
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
it is a great name, but more importantly, he set up the venture fund for us. He
Mm-hmm.
said, "I want you to go home and not worry about how to set up a venture fund. I'll do it for you. I'll bring
Mm-hmm.
in the angel investors, and it's going to be a $20 million fund. I'll give
Mm-hmm.
you a lawyer, and he gave us Casey McLean, who set up the venture fund as a limited partnership. And he also
Mm-hmm.
gave us a CFO in Michael Kranz, who ended up being our main, sort of the guy who would do all our, looking at all the term sheets and making sure we were doing the right,
Yeah.
sort of the negotiations with the portfolio companies. So he gave us these two people. They
Uh-huh.
And he brought in the money. So Ron Conway is the one who brought in all the investors. We
Uh-huh.
didn't know anybody at that time. And
Uh-huh.
once he got in some of the initial capital, then Rajiv and I called a few other, angel friends, and before we knew it, like literally in a blink, actually, the .edu one was formed with $20 million, and with two key people, which is Casey McGlenn and Mike Krantz, running this as the CFO and general counsel. And we
Mm-hmm.
started investing. And Ron wanted us to focus only on startups and not worry about the logistics of how to run a fund. So,
Mm-hmm.
this is how things roll in the valley, right? Where there is somebody
Yeah.
takes a liking to you and
Yeah.
believes in you and wants to really help you, take
And
off,
giving away ideas.
giving away ideas.
Yeah.
And that's what, but more importantly, look at the heavy lifting that Ron
Uh-huh.
did. Yes.
Uh-huh.
And
Mm-hmm.
he brought in all these, heavy investors, including, and we also had, I think we had Ram Sriram and Prabhu
Mm-hmm.
Goel, Raj Singh, and various other angel investors. And
Mm-hmm.
we ran with the fund. And
Mm-hmm.
so that was the start of the journey, Lakshmi,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
venture
And you
capital.
already alluded to, like actually, I think it was Sergey who said that anywhere in the world, if you go, if you see any technology, there's a little bit of Rajiv Motwani in it. As you were saying, Rajiv was quite involved in the Google formation, the page ranking, algorithms, and all that stuff. And tell us a little bit about, it's quite interesting for me actually. This happened all in the late 90s, right? But it
Right.
feels like it was like some, like some a century ago or something like that. We can't imagine a world without a Facebook or Google or something. But this all happened only in the last 25 years or
True.
28 years.
True.
So
Yes, the
it just
internet is new.
feels so weird that it's so short while ago actually compared to the evolution of the universe, but it just feels like it was long, long time ago. But if you
True.
think about it, at that time, you were on campus, you guys were all on campus, and I remember famous Rajiv's court, holding court in University Cafe on University Avenue. He would sit there and people would just come to him and talk to him about companies and all that stuff. It was just described to me a little bit of Silicon Valley because everybody says that many people try to replicate Silicon Valley, but it just hasn't happened. There is something magical about this place. So the place you are in. So tell us a little bit about what was it like at that time, and what makes Silicon Valley according to you?
So even in those days, it's still you know, very much like what it is today, which is it is a place with an unusual mixture of great talent, great talent in computer science, electrical engineering, mathematics, physics, coming out of a university like a Stanford, which is unlike any other universities, right? So you, not even Berkeley or MIT, and they have very different culture. Stanford is different. It stands out because it allows its faculty to work in the industry. It actually encourages its faculty
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
work in the industry for 15%, 25% of their time,
Mhm.
and actually work in the real world. So that's it's actually one of the secrets of Stanford, which has enabled it to be such a font of innovation. That's one thing. Second thing is Stanford is very international, so it attracts the top talent from around the world. So you have PhD students coming from absolutely the top-notch students coming from across the world to Stanford, and pair that with venture capital right there on Sand Hill Road.
Mhm.
You have
Yeah.
billions of dollars looking to invest in smart young people. And so you put that together along with excellent faculty who are already entrepreneurial to begin with because they have seen the outside world. You
Mm-hmm.
pair that
Mm-hmm.
with brilliant talent coming from across the world. And then you
Mm-hmm.
also have the industry. So you have the IBMs and the old Ciscos and so on, which have been around for a long time. So you put all those things together, and it's an unusual mix of people and talent and
Mm-hmm.
industry and vectors of of economic growth and risk taking,
Mm-hmm.
which comes from the frontier mentality of California as a whole. It's
Mm-hmm.
it has had a history of being a very frontier state, right? From the
Mm-hmm.
gold rush to now, you have a risk taking mentality in the Bay Area. And
Mm-hmm.
that has contributed to a sort of an unusual, miraculous mix of
Mm-hmm.
of attitudes and and dispositions, which
Mm-hmm.
allow for innovation to emerge from this brilliant mix of people. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how it was when I saw it in the 1990s, and that's how
Mm-hmm.
it still is.
Right.
It I think what's changing now is just that it's the speed of change, right? Because of the AI
Right. Yeah.
revolution is the
Mm-hmm.
speed of change is so mind-bogglingly
Mm-hmm.
complex, and it's actually so fast that people are
Mm-hmm.
we honestly don't. With the internet it was different. It was, yes, it
Mm-hmm.
was fast enough, but with AI we are looking at super intelligence much faster than what we had initially assumed. And if
Mm-hmm.
so, what happens? And as we saw last week, all these
Mm-hmm.
conversations on Wall Street about AI eating up software companies
Mm-hmm.
has actually thrown the market in a tizzy last week. We are going
Mm-hmm.
to, what if that is real, then we are looking at companies, massive companies like Salesforce and ServiceNow and so on, taking a hit in terms of its
Mm-hmm.
market valuation.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
the AI revolution is so scarily fast that none of us has ever seen this before. So this
Mm-hmm.
is something new, and I think that from what we are hearing from founders of Anthropic to OpenAI to Google,
Mm-hmm.
this is an uneasy time, if not a scary time.
And at the same time, if you think about, you had kind of uh, like courtside view of innovation unfolding in front of you, right? Like even when Google was formed, there were like seven, eight other search companies. It wasn't like they were the first ones out shoot at all, actually. They were one of the last ones and the only ones who survived, actually, of all of them. I mean, there's everything from Alta Vista to Excite to Ask Jeeves to God knows. I mean, there were like so many, Yahoo to so many search companies. So and you, like when these things are worked in the lab, when people work late, when they're doing all these kinds of things, etc., you never know what the company is going to be, how big it's going to be, or whatever. But you're watching all this happen in the lab, right? All these things being developed, etc. So tell me a little bit about it initially did everyone feel, because especially that whole page ranking thing. And actually, I heard a trivia recently. I don't know if it's true or not. People think page ranking is ranking the pages, but it's actually from Larry Page's last name that he came up with the ranking, so it's called page ranking. So somebody was saying it's not quite ranking the pages, but he's the one who came up with it. That's why it's called page ranking, or whatever it is. But tell me a little bit about what was it like at that time while they were doing it in the labs, etc. Did Rajiv feel, oh my God, this is something new, this we should put all our effort and move forward, or was it like one of the things? How did it feel like it was something totally different
It
at that time?
was. It actually was, which
Mm-hmm.
was which is fascinating, right? That in those
Mm-hmm.
days, the excitement around the results
Mm-hmm.
the results were so stunningly different from the
Mm-hmm.
second best search engine
Mm-hmm.
that there was that excitement in the air about like this. If this is released, let's just say on the Stanford campus, right? Let's see what the response is. And the response
Mm-hmm.
was absolutely staggering. I mean,
Right.
people just loved it, and it was word of mouth. And we decided, and Rajiv and team decided actually that this was going to be released to the outside world, outside of Stanford campus,
Mm-hmm.
and it was going to be done by word of mouth. We were simply not going to advertise anything. Not there would be no advertising money spent on
Mm-hmm.
Google as a search engine. because the results spoke for themselves. And the
Mm-hmm.
results were absolutely stunningly just
Mm-hmm.
superior to
Mm-hmm.
anything we had ever seen. So the excitement was there from the beginning. But
Mm-hmm.
I think
Mm-hmm.
more than that, along with that, Lakshmi, I think I must add that there was also an idealism which was there amongst the three of them, Larry, Sergey, and Rajiv, which was that let's equalize the playing field of the whole planet. Let's equalize the world by bringing all information of the world to every
Mm-hmm.
human being. That was the
Mm-hmm.
idea.
Mm-hmm.
Bringing
Yeah.
all the information in a split second to the whole world,
Mm-hmm.
irrespective of where they are, old, young,
Mm-hmm.
rich, poor, doesn't matter. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that idealism, uh,
Mm-hmm.
in combination with the fact that their mathematics was way superior to anything we have seen, I think it
Mm-hmm.
created magic. And I think
Mm-hmm.
there was a sense from the beginning that this was
Mm-hmm.
going to be a disruptor and a life changer. Except nobody knew the scale and the extent to which
Mm-hmm.
Google was to become what it is today.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody,
Mm-hmm.
in those days, nobody knew.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's what the reason I wanted to talk about that is that's where we are today also, I think, is that we are just seeing the tip of the iceberg of what is possible. I mean, nobody thought when the search engine came that there would be a whole internet economy on top of it, that people would be making money, that there would be influencers. I mean, there are people never thought about all these things,
Right?
and that you could advertise and that you could have AdSense and all these sorts of things. It wasn't in the business plan when they started it. But
True.
similarly today, tell me a little bit about, being in the valley, the whole AI revolution that we are seeing. I mean, people said, oh, Google missed it, and they came back with a bang now with all the Google Brain and stuff like that. And that's always happens. There's five companies that are doing it, which is good. There is
Right.
lots of stuff happening. So
Right.
tell me a little bit about what do you feel about the whole AI revolution, and are we just at the beginning of it? What's your sense of where are we going? What are some of the things you think we are going to see happen out there?
So I think with as far as Google itself goes, right, the fact that they are creating their own chips, making their own chips, is a big deal.
Yeah,
So that's why
right.
you're seeing this level of valuation of Google right now. But I think apart from that, there is also the fact that Google is going into directions it has never gone before, like creating energy
Right. Yeah.
generation,
Mm-hmm.
build out physical infrastructure, build out things that we had never thought the company would do before. So
Mm-hmm.
those are things that are actually new.
Mm-hmm.
And Google is taking risks, right? So it is, from whether it's YouTube or whether it's your, any new products that it is launching right now, including Waymo and stuff like that. It is taking risks that it has normally it has taken, but not to this extent. So I think on
Mm-hmm.
the AI front, nobody, we didn't, I actually, you're right that in the beginning there was this general sense that, oh, did AI miss the AI, did Google miss the AI revolution? No, I don't think so, especially with the launch of
Yeah.
the chip. It's very much in the driver's seat right now.
Yeah.
And it is,
And also the whole Google Brain. I mean, like just the whole,
yeah,
I mean, I think, and also being in the Valley for a long time, I think it is like that, a company does very well, then some other company comes and you think, oh, this has missed it. And, they come back and that's how it progresses.
true,
Is
true.
there are front and back, front and back. It's never a monopoly of one company,
True, and it's very iterative. Yeah, it's very
yeah,
iterative, and yeah, and in fact,
yeah,
there was a time when nobody knew that Google would end up even being so so actually so heavy on mobile communications, right? Nobody knew that Google was going to be
correct.
acquiring
Yeah.
Android, and next thing you
Hmm.
know is that it's even even the operating system in mobile communications is huge now. So these
Right.
acquisitions also made a big difference, including YouTube.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
so Google made
yeah.
some nice bets from the beginning.
Correct. And when you look at entrepreneurs, I mean, it's not just this, you guys have invested in things, but weren't you in, did you have something in PayPal? Didn't you guys
Yeah.
invest in
Yes,
PayPal way
yeah,
back?
Rajiv was the first
Well,
investor in PayPal. Yeah.
PayPal, PayPal to App Dynamics to like all kinds of companies that have been acquired, become really huge. I mean, Rajiv kind of had a nose for it, but also I think the best people naturally came to him. I mean, he was the first stop. Anybody who wanted to start something, they would come to him
True,
automatically.
true.
And he never said no to any. I mean, no matter what it was, the first check always came from Rajiv for anything that was worth its salt. So I want
Absolutely.
to talk a little bit about your transformation into it. I mean, this was all Rajiv stuff, and we were all like kind of hanging out, watching Rajiv do all his magic,
True.
always. And when he passed away, really suddenly, like it took us all uh, in a shock, and it not just us personally, but I think the whole technology industry. I mean, Silicon Valley actually mourned. Uh, I mean, like there are so many more inventions that would have happened if he was around. Uh, you know.
Very true.
Yeah, but the thing that I've been fascinated by, which I want you to talk a little bit about, is how you have reinvented yourself from you were watching all these things, you were always involved, but more, a little less engaged than you were. And after Rajiv passed away, you kind of got in. First of all, you had to take the portfolio and manage what's there. But all the new things that you did, you were just as um, fearless, just as aggressive as Rajiv was, maybe even a tad more aggressive and a little bit more successful. So, so I think maybe your Gujarati genes really came up full force after that. But tell me a little bit about how did you pick that up and not just maintain, but really grew that. So, what was your own transformation like? What were you learning at that time?
I think not having Rajiv kind of as my, the sort of the umbrella, right? The emotional
Yeah.
umbrella who was the sort of, or the, also the partner who is helping me, or both of us are thinking through, various decisions. Suddenly not having that umbrella actually made, I would say, it kind of, first of all, there was this, period of shock for 3 to 4
Of
years where
course,
I
all
think I
of
was
us.
completely
Yeah,
completely untethered.
yeah,
But right after that,
correct.
I think what happened was that there was a recognition on my part that that our portfolio had grown significantly. What our investments in venture capital funds, in startups, and our ownership of Google, all of that had actually significantly grown. And I remember sitting down with various friends also, including Ron Conway and Ram and people
Yeah,
like that, saying, guys,
yeah.
what should be my next steps? Like in terms of help, let me be my sounding board, be my mirror here. I want to think about what should be my own next steps in terms of setting up a family foundation, wanting to make a difference and continuing as a venture capitalist on the for-profit side, on the non-profit side, doing a foundation. So these were all things, driven by the fact that I didn't want to be slowing down, uh,
Mm-hmm,
you know, and I wanted to be going full steam ahead. And I would say in the last maybe 5 years or so, I have
mm-hmm,
also pivoted away from simply being, a philanthropist and venture capitalist, which is there, to now becoming, I would say, one of the first few Indian Americans who is actually playing a role in politics now. And I've decided that I want to do this because there aren't too many Indian Americans in, playing a role in Washington, D.C. So this is something that I have pivoted towards right now. And it's different. It's very different from being in venture capital and, being in Silicon Valley, it's home. So it's a very
mm-hmm.
different, very low risk
Yeah.
set of, ideas and work that I was pursuing to something
Mm-hmm,
that's very high risk.
mm-hmm,
Making a bet on certain legislations, on certain policies, and on certain people. This is
mm-hmm,
something very new to me. And
mm-hmm,
like for example, betting on a few candidates right now for 2026,
mm-hmm,
midterm elections. So these are all things that are new, but I also feel that these are probably activities
mm-hmm,
which will show a path to other
mm-hmm,
Indian Americans, other high net worths also, to say, look, let's play a role in American politics now,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and see where things are, where we can make a difference actually.
Yeah. And you've always been about batting for India also to make sure India is um, taken seriously, to make sure India is the talent there builds a bridge here. So you even gave a big endowment to OP Jindal University for setting up. Tell me a little bit about, you set up an institute for American studies in India, because people
Right.
usually set up Indian studies in America. So tell me a little bit about this whole exchange of talent between India and US that you're very, very passionate about in the academia. So tell me a little bit about that. Why did you give that large endowment, and what do you hope to uh, achieve there?
Yeah, I think so one thing that's pretty clear to me as I look at this whole US India corridor is that there is, first of all, there's a dearth of scholars that know the US from on the Indian side. So you do have some think tanks which, kind of peripherally look at the US policy on energy, or, they might look at US policy on defense and, energy, or, on environment and so on. But there is very little understanding of American politics, of how Washington, D.C. works, of how the Congress works, how decision making gets done in the US. There's a skeletal program there in JNU that does American studies, but there's very little in that. And there's
Mm,
almost no faculty, and it's a very weak program. So I was looking at, where else in India do we have American studies where people understand America from a more of an academic perspective? There's
mhm,
nothing there.
mhm,
And so for me, this was something that I was very keen on doing. I was looking at Ashoka and
mm,
as university at first. And then Jindal came up and they were like a startup. They were aggressive and said, we will do this, 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 we will achieve these results for you, and we will deliver XYZ for you. And so
mhm,
they had that startup mentality, sort of can do, we'll finish this, we'll do this, and then they're really delivering on the results from the
mhm,
get. So the idea for setting up the Motwani Institute for American Studies is to now launch a master's program in
mm,
American Studies, and this is going to be an online program. So even
mm,
even stay at home moms can actually do these can do this US American Studies masters or even a
mm,
PhD sitting at home, and
mhm,
we have some excellent faculty who are creating this online program. And once
mhm,
this happens, I think what's interesting is that with, of course, with this US trade deal done, what we are seeing is next 3 years I'm expecting, while President Trump is still in his position, is I think we're going to see huge amounts of collaborations between US and India on defense
mhm.
and on energy production. So it is, and manufacturing, supply chains and chips and data
Chips,
centers
yeah.
and so on. So I
Semiconductor.
think I think this is going to have huge implications for job creation in India as well as in the US.
Mhm,
So so in order to capture this momentum, it's important that we have people
mhm.
who are interested in America and who are from an
Right,
academic perspective,
right,
from an intellectual perspective, and I
right,
think
right. Yeah. Okay. Asha, are you there? We
I
lost you
can
for a
hear you.
second.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah,
can hear
yeah.
you.
Okay. So, I want to talk about a couple more things. You're always very good at starting things and let them grow on their own. I want to talk about a couple of programs you did. One is Rajiv Circle. The other one is the Maker Movement. So again, I'm going back in time a little bit of after Rajiv passed away, etc. One of the things to this Indo-US corridor, you started Rajiv Circle, where you would
Mhm.
bring 15, 20 young entrepreneurs from India, put them up here, fly them out here, and put them up and expose them to the valley. So tell me a little bit about what was your thought behind Rajiv Circle, and what do you think it continues to accomplish?
Okay, okay, I have to tell the truth here, which is which is it wasn't started because of some grand intellectual scheme. It started
No, no,
because
it was like, hey, Rajiv, it was as casual as Rajiv Circle, right? It's sort of
it
20
really
kids.
was right. It really was something where I felt I have an extra home.
Yeah,
At 543 Center Drive, I had an extra home. I was going to India all the time, and I was,
yeah,
getting bored doing nothing in India. It's like I have to do
yeah.
something. And since I was stuck in Ahmedabad, actually, first few years, um,
Mhm,
being around my parents, actually visiting parents, I said, let me just go to SEPT. University, which is my own alma mater, and find a few entrepreneurial people who I can schlep along with me to Palo
Mm-hmm.
Alto and plunge them into the valley through, especially through Thai. And
Yeah.
that was the idea. That was just it's simply just that. I had no idea that it would, it would result in such enormous, value creation for
Mm.
both the entrepreneurs and for myself, actually.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
so that was the motivation for starting the program. That program actually has kind of, I would say, we have about 150 fellows by now. It
Mm-hmm.
has petered out simply because there are so many other things that are going on. And if I was not hand holding it myself, then who else would
Yeah.
be doing it? I need to find somebody
Yeah.
like a Chandni to take it over now and grow it again.
Yeah.
But for the year or two, we have actually mothballed it, which I feel terrible about. But
Yeah.
that's how it is right now. And we already now we
Yeah.
also have some new programs like the History Scholars program with Vikram Sampath leading it. We have the Davos program with
Mm-hmm.
Rahul Bhavchandani leading it. But as I grow older, also a lot of these programs are being held or being run by other people, with me kind of watching from the sidelines. And it's a very interesting
Mm-hmm.
transition that's happening. On the
Yeah.
maker movement, our goal from the beginning was that we would put
Yeah.
up on our website, a sort of a toolkit for saying, look, you can do your own maker festival, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and raise your own capital. And if you cannot raise
Mm-hmm.
your own capital, we will invest. And and we were just hoping that everybody would sort of copy
Mm-hmm.
this toolkit that we had, and they would have it in Baroda and in Hyderabad and in Kochi and so on. And a lot of people hosted these little maker festivals.
Mm-hmm.
Now I think there are multiple baby maker festivals
Yeah.
all over India, and some in Pakistan and some in Brazil and so on. And people even call them different names now, like Science Festival or something. And people don't, I mean, a lot of times people don't need any initial seed
Mm-hmm.
capital from us. There are other companies, local companies that come in and fund them. So it's fantastic. This is something that I dreamt of, this thing becoming an independent entity, a
Mm-hmm.
movement, and it has become that.
Mhm. And I think, just to summarize all these things, whether it's the maker movement or Rajiv Circle or, American studies or whatever,
Fab Labs and so on. Yeah.
all these
Hmm.
things, you want to start as an idea and hand it over to someone to run
Yes.
it. So yeah,
These
they're
are
a pilot.
pilots.
Yeah.
These are pilots,
Yeah.
Lakshmi.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like we have an idea and we're like, oh, you got to do it. So let me do a few, show how to do it, and then you take it
Right.
and go from
Right.
there.
In fact, with the Fab Labs, I'll
Right.
just quickly add a 30-second thing there. With the Fab
Yeah.
Labs,
Mhm,
my idea was that once we show people what is a Fab Lab,
mhm,
I was hoping that others would run with it. And once we showcased what it was in Ahmedabad at CEPT University, I saw that the Kerala government picked up on it, and
You
they
want to tell
created 12
everybody a
little
little bit
Fab
about
Labs.
what is Fab Labs? Just
Yes, Fab Lab
explain that
is
a little
yeah,
bit.
fabrication. Actually, Fab Lab is a series of equipment and software to run it all, to create to transform anything that you can imagine into a product. Whether it's
Mhm,
an airplane, or whether it's a small train, or whether it's a bracelet, or whether it's a drone, you can create that using this set of tools. It's
mhm,
machinery and it is software that controls all of it, and it comes pre-packaged, actually, almost from the Center for Bits and Atoms in MIT.
mhm,
And
mhm,
so I bought the first one from Neil Gershenfeld at MIT, and I brought it
mhm,
to Ahmedabad, set it up in the CEPT University. Chandni ran it, and
mhm,
she and Henry Skupkivitz, they actually incorporated the Fab Lab and into part of the curriculum at CEPT, which
mm.
was wonderful
Right.
because people
Right.
learned
Yeah.
it much more formally. And once people saw the
Right.
success of that Fab Lab,
Mhm,
the Kerala government said we will invest in 12 more. So they set up 12 little Fab Labs in all across
mm,
Kerala. And I'm not sure
mhm,
if they could, really sort of instill it in any particular curriculum in a university, but I think a couple of universities took it on. But
mhm,
yeah, it is something that has a momentum of its own now. And again, the model is create a pilot, showcase it
mhm.
to the Indian government or the state government or others, and hope that others will run with it. And most of the times, people have run with it.
So if you go back, way back in time about your own background, Asha, you studied urban planning and you were at USC, you came to USC to study urban planning. Then you met Rajiv, and then you guys said you'll move to Berkeley. And so tell me a little bit about how did an urban planner end up being a venture capitalist?
Mhm.
Like, was it that the fact that you actually moved to the valley, you actually came here, and you're surrounded by it? Was there, because I think we always get stuck in this is how I was
Mhm.
trained, so I can't change who I am. But you're no formal training as a
Correct.
technologist,
Mm.
and you're training as an urban planner. So what was the
The
shift like?
pivot.
What are the
Pivot.
what are the ingredients you have that helped you, whether you studied it or not?
Right. Well, first of all, I'm a civil engineer, right? So engineering is
Right.
part of my toolkit actually. And so it's a technical,
Yeah.
it wasn't it wasn't something that was scary for me. But
Right.
but here is what, there was a triggering event actually that enabled my switch in a pretty rapid fashion. I
Mm,
was at home one day and reading a book or something, and Rajiv calls me and says, Asha, there is this gentleman called Chandrasekhar, who did this
mm,
company called Exodus, and
mm,
he's giving a talk at Stanford, and I think you should come for this talk. And I
mhm,
said, oh my God, like a tech company, Chandrasekhar, that just sounds so boring, but Rajiv convinced me to go for the talk. This was in the
yeah,
Gates building, in his own building. I go for
yeah,
the talk. I sit down and listen to Chandra and his journey of how he started Exodus, took it public, and how he's
mhm,
now helping other founders, right? And angel investing and so on. That talk for me actually was the pivot, was the triggering point where I said, okay,
mm,
I'm getting bored out of my mind sitting around doing
mhm,
my PhD thesis in political science. And I was in the building
mhm,
next door. This is something that
mhm,
I am not so sure. And here is this, giant internet kind of a thing that's being born under my nose. Here is an
mhm.
Indian man called Chandra who has done this company called Exodus. And
Yep.
I mean, look at what he's pulled off, right? I mean, here is a humble man from Bangalore, or I'm not sure where he's from, but and
Mm.
here he has pulled off an incredibly important company called Exodus, which was a data center company, I think, right? A
Yeah, I
storage.
mean, all the things we talk about now, that was what it was, the data
In
center,
those
cloud,
days, it
and all
was
that stuff. Yeah.
cloud company, yes. And
Yeah.
I think for me, that talk was actually a triggering point where I
Hmm.
started thinking and saying, am I missing a revolution? Am I
Hmm.
missing the whole internet revolution, which is happening under my nose? And Rajiv
Hmm.
was, of course, right in the thick of that revolution. And I said, you know
Hmm.
what? I still remember walking up to my professor, Professor Steve Krasner, and saying, Steve, I need to take a little bit of time off. Do you
Hmm.
mind if I drop off for a year or two and just work with some startups? Is that okay? And he said,
Yeah.
Asha, just take off on your own, come back in a year or two, and you can finish your PhD, which of course I
Yeah.
never did. And that was it. That was it. And then next
Yeah.
thing I know is I ran into Ron Conway, and Ron set up .edu ventures for us. And we
Hmm.
were up and running,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you know.
It's
But it
amazing
was the
how, like, one
recognition.
little thing. Yeah.
But Lakshmi, it was the recognition of the fact that there was a
Right.
revolution happening under me, under my nose, and
Hmm.
that I wanted to be part of it, come what may. And I still remember looking for a job actually first, saying I need to be part of this internet revolution. Everybody turned me down. People
Hmm.
said, your resume says political science. Are you kidding?
Hmm.
Why would we take you? And I
Hmm.
still remember I went to this couple that was running a company called
Hmm.
findlaw.com. A couple, Mr. and Mrs. something, they were running this company out of Stanford. I said, guys, I'm willing to work for free.
Hmm.
Just please give me a shot, give me a chance, let me work. They hired me at $11 an hour,
Hmm.
right? As somebody who's just going to be punching in some stupid data and things like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And I was in there. And then I knew what was going on in findlaw.com.
Hmm. Yeah.
That was my first plunge
Uh-huh.
into what it means to be in an internet
Hmm.
company.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And I
And I
think
never
the
looked
point
back.
is to make yourself available. You want to learn something new, just say, take me. I'll just learn. I'm not here to,
And
no
no
ego
ego
problem.
problems if you fail. No
Yeah.
ego problem, because I was rejected so many times that I didn't even
Yeah.
have the heart to tell people I'm Rajiv's wife, because I was
Yeah.
embarrassed that I'm his wife. I mean, how do
Yeah.
I tell people that
Yeah.
I'm his wife and that I'm applying for the stupid job as a data entry person in a low level, startup?
And I
So,
can't get
so, and I
it.
can't get
And here is a man defining internet sitting on the other side.
absolutely. I hid the fact that I was his wife because I
Yeah.
so wanted to be in an internet company. And
Yeah.
Fine Law gave me that chance. God bless them.
So there are some questions from the audience I'm going to ask you.
Okay.
So you invested in tech, education, and women founders. What drives you emotionally? Is there a cause that feels deeply personal to you?
It is India, and it's creating freedom to excel within India. That's
Mm,
definitely something that drives me. The U.S. India friendship, the U.S. India corridor, is something that's emotional for me. It's not something that's I don't see it as work. It is something that makes me jump out of bed
mhm,
and run around the whole day trying to get some vectors going. So
mhm.
that is
Yeah.
something that is I would say my bread and butter right now. I live
Mhm.
for it. I live for that
And
friendship.
also, I think for a lot of us, when you come to US and you enjoy the benefits of this amazing system that we have here, you want to take some of it back home. You feel, my God, look at all this amazing teachers. I mean, this country's been great to a lot of us
Mhm.
in terms of
Mhm.
how it treated us and what it taught us. So we want to take that back home and say, hey, how can I bridge the gap, so to speak, which has nothing to do with the level of intelligence of the people. It's just access to information. That's all. So,
Exactly. Yeah.
and also, another question is, did your identity evolve from entrepreneur's wife to venture capitalist and ecosystem builder? And what was the intentional things that you did in that transition? Because as you're saying, you didn't even want to be known as Rajiv's wife. And then here you are, Rajiv's wife, and getting involved with all these startups that are like super high tech kind of startups. So you had to, what are some of the things you did? Did you learn more about the field, or what did you do intentionally to stop being someone's wife and actually being the venture
Yeah. Yeah. No, no,
capitalist?
that's an excellent question. So laziness is in my bones, Lakshmi. Okay. I can tell you that I did not want to be doing serious study of, let's say, the chip industry and so on. But when you are
Yeah.
in Stanford, when you are investing your personal dollars
Mm,
in startups, right, which we did, Rajiv and I invested our personal savings into
mhm,
things like Gigabeat, like the first search engine, music search engine.
mhm,
You start watching where your money is, who's, and the company was located right behind our house. So I
mhm.
used to sit and watch and see what they're doing, how are they growing, are they growing, what sort of a board do they have, how is the product shaping up, and stuff like that. So as a result, there
Mhm,
was a way for me to sort of plunge in and learn about this
mhm,
company, for example, where we had pitched in about $125,000 of our hard-earned money, which this was our first investment actually, and we didn't get any money back from that. We lost it all. But I think
mhm,
that gave me a plunge into what it means to be doing a startup, what it means to raise venture capital from something like a Kleiner Perkins,
mhm,
what it means to work with a general partner at Kleiner Perkins, how to work with Vinod Khosla, a difficult venture capitalist to work with because a lot of our startups were co-funded by Vinod Khosla, and he's a very demanding, very exacting venture capitalist, very very quality conscious. And so learning by doing, just learning by, and so the intentionality was, you know the intentionality was simply first recognition of the fact that I am sitting in the middle of a revolution, number one. Number
mhm,
two, the more I learn, the better it'll
mhm,
make me as a as an important player in that field.
mhm. Yeah,
And so I was just drinking from a fire hose.
yeah, yeah. And many of us are comfortable earning salaries, but investing feels intimidating, especially when you put your life's investment and it all disappears. So when did you first feel confident backing ideas with your own money? When did you feel that, hey, this is something I'm ready to take the uh, risk? That's the
Immediately.
question. Yeah.
First, right away. So as soon as 1998, when
Mhm,
Gigabit came to us as the first music search engine, and we had actually no money in the bank except for this 125,000 that we borrow, got some,
mhm,
got a little bit even from from a credit card actually. So
Mm-hmm.
we put in this $125,000 into Gigabit. Literally took everything from our bank account and put into Gigabit, thinking this is going to be another mini Google actually, right?
Yeah.
In music search, because we knew the company so well. The
Yeah.
founders were students in computer science. So Rajiv knew them
Mm-hmm.
really well. We really believed in them. We just
Mm-hmm.
had no idea that that the company would go head on against Napster, and ultimately the venture capitalist would end up selling it to Napster, and they were bad deal makers actually in that
Mm-hmm.
company, and we didn't get our money back. We lost it all actually. So,
Mm-hmm.
but immediately we took risks from the get go. I mean, we were, uh, I think. I think Rajiv and I were in that mentally in that position, being part of
Yeah.
this internet revolution, that if we had to sell our home, we would have
Mm-hmm.
from the
Mm-hmm.
get-go.
Yeah.
We were risk takers from the get-go.
Mhm. And I also feel that that's what makes Silicon Valley what it is that people are not just betting on what's comfortable and extra. People are betting big time, taking big risks, and you win some, you lose some. But if you don't take big risks, you'll never win big, for sure,
Yeah.
you know.
And the whole system
So one of the
and the whole
questions is,
system allows that. That's the beauty of it, you know.
correct, correct. I mean, you're not penalized if you fail. You know, people say, okay, that has happened. Let's just start again. I mean, you're not penalized for it. I think that's the most important thing. Uma is asking, how do you see the tech startup scenario playing out with the advent of AI? Are you currently invested in any of the AI startups?
Yes, I am. I'm invested in most of the AI startups through my own venture capital investing. So I'm invested in Andreessen Horowitz. I'm invested in General Catalyst,
Mhm,
and a bunch of 20 other venture capital funds in the Bay Area. So I do have indirect investments in AI startups, including, of
mhm,
course, Google.
mhm,
And am I actively looking for startups? Yes, I am. I mean, I'm looking
mhm,
at startups that might even be looking at, things like how to create new use cases and so on. I think Indian startups might be more focused on use cases, in which case
mhm,
I will probably invest in some Indian startups. I think Indian startups are going to get even more and more robust as we see Sarvam AI, uh,
mhm,
you know, coming of age and really delivering on results that we were not expecting.
mhm,
So,
mhm,
so yes, I am invested in, and I'm laser focused on space and AI right now.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, they are two of the biggest categories. So I'm going to take one more question and then we'll start wrapping up. Um, let's see. What, oh, it's an interesting. What is one thing you wish more women asked for but don't?
In terms of venture funding, I guess,
No, no,
well,
it's anything. Like
just in
what
general.
should women demand, should ask of themselves, of others, or whatever? What is one thing you wish more women asked for, but they hold themselves back?
I think women should ask for leadership positions more, you know, because women don't realize that they're natural leaders. Women are
Mhm,
natural born leaders. Once they have a position of authority in a company as a CEO or a CTO or a chief marketing officer, I've noticed that women far outperform men simply because they just, they're used to working with multiple variables, and they can optimize
correct.
on the go, on the fly. So I wish women asked for positions
Mhm,
of authority as CEO, actually. You know,
mhm, mhm. Yeah. So I want to wrap up on this question that I like asking everyone about, which has nothing to do with investing or anything. It's about being a parent. And is what did you learn from your parents? What is the thing that when you were growing up? You were a little bit of a, you know, princess of the house, and I think your family has some royal lineage, something like that. But you were definitely pampered in the house among two brothers. What are some values you learned from your parents that really you carry with you? And in what way whoever you are is transferring to your children, to your two daughters?
I think what I brought to the table from my parents really is the flexibility, is to really flow with the punches, and really kind of take each situation on its own
Mhm.
merit and
Mhm.
respond accordingly. Be flexible, be really agile, and pivot if needed. So that was one thing that I got from especially from my
How,
mother, who's
how,
a
how in where did you see it? How did you see it in your parents?
I saw it in my mother, Lakshmi, because she was a real estate entrepreneur. She would
Mm-hmm.
buy land and she would work on it. And the minute she ran into some regulatory problem in Ahmedabad, she would
Mm-hmm.
actually pivot and work with whoever she had to work with to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that her growth and her profits were never compromised. She was
Mm-hmm.
actually laser focused on profits. My
Yeah.
mom was a big money maker, and
Yeah.
and I watched her, as I was growing up, and I realized that she was. And by the way, this is nothing about just Ahmedabad. I think this is true of India because we are
Yeah.
all dealing with so many variables as we navigate the Indian system, right? All
Mm-hmm.
of us are Indian. India actually makes us entrepreneurs to begin with
Right.
because we are navigating such complexity. And so you come
Mm-hmm.
to something like US, which is simple. The system is
Yeah.
so simple. What you see is what you get. We are
Mm-hmm.
automatically we
Mm-hmm.
perform so well here because we are good with complexity. So I think that's
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
brought to the table from
Yeah.
my parents, and I'm
Yeah.
hoping that I'm giving that learning passing that learning to my children, uh, you
Yeah.
know, to both
Yeah.
my girls. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, yeah. So great. Thank you so much for your time, Asha. I think we've been through an amazing journey. I mean, this is 1 hour is not enough to go through all the things you've seen. Just had the ringside view of, I mean, there's so many questions I have about the whole, just the Google story itself could take 3, 4 hours of
No,
what
but
it
and
was.
but one of these days, I hope, Lakshmi, I can ask you all these questions because you yourself have evolved from
Yeah,
an entrepreneur to a leader,
yeah,
and brought so much to the table for India and US. So I
yeah.
hope that somebody interviews you for the book. You know,
Yes, we'll do that. But thank you so much for your time, and to the audience, thank you so much for your time, for great questions, and for being here. And this will all be part of the book that will be coming out later this year. And we'll turn all these conversations into words, and it'll be there, in your living room for a long time to come. So thank you so much for your time, Asha, and thanks everybody.
thank you, Lakshmi, and
Bye.
thanks everyone.